Hi, everyone. Now, the idea for this interview came about after I made a Facebook post asking who is the GLOAT, the greatest lady of all time. Now, a few names were mentioned, including Jean Valukas, Karen Corr, Jeanette Lee, but I guess I should have maybe phrased the question differently by using the word greatest cueist of all time, because I like to encapsulate all the different disciplines of cue sports, and I'm so lucky and delighted I've got two of them with me right now who in my eyes are the number one and number two. I'll leave you to decide who is number one and number two out of these two, but they are of course Alison Fisher, M.B.E, and Kelly Fisher. Hi ladies.
Hello Mark, hello Kelly.
Hey Mark, hey Ali.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you girls. Thank you so much. I know it's 6 p.m. for you, Kelly. You're in, or just after 6, you're in Scotland, I'm believing.
Yep.
And I'm in Canada. And where are you, Ali?
I'm in Denver, North Carolina.
Denver?
Not the Colorado, the North Carolina.
Ah, okay.
And she still says that with a British accent. Well done, Ali.
That's right, absolutely, to the core.
And actually, guess where I am? I'm in London, but not London, England. I'm in London, Ontario.
Very good.
There we go.
Very confusing, isn't it? So, ladies, I want to just start by saying, you know, your careers go back so far. Started with the great game of snooker, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But firstly, I guess the right question to ask is, other than yourselves, who is the greatest lady of all time? Maybe you think it's one of you two, or maybe you think it's somebody completely different.
Well, I would say it's Ali, to be honest. I would say for sure. Simply because of, I mean, good God, when I started, she was the world champion, number one, and had been for however long. I was only 12, this little thing with curly hair, coming and looking up to her, wanting to take her place, if you like, or reach where she'd reached. And she continued to do that until she moved to America, where she took over America. So I don't think there's any question in my eyes who really who else you could really name, to be honest. Not, I'm not sucking up to you there, Ali, but it's true.
I was going to say, I'm going to pay you later very handsomely.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, really, I don't think there's much of a question, really, to be honest.
Well, I appreciate that, Kelly, but I have to say your record is, it's still going, isn't it? And it's encouraged me to come back and play some more. And if you remember at the beginning, I think it was at the beginning of last year, I came back and played in that tournament, first of the year, wasn't it? In the WPBA event of last year. And we played in the
Northern Lights.
It was in
Bemidji. That's right. Bemidji, that's right.
That's right. And I nearly took you to the hill, and then you came and said to me, "There's no way you're going to retire right now." And so it was like, that was really nice. I mean, it was nice for an opponent to say that. And I've known Kelly for a very, very long time. She's my younger sister, of course.
Absolutely.
And she's promised to wheel me around, when I'm in my 80s and 90s. She's promised to still put me at the table and make me play.
Yeah.
We've got a very great friendship outside of the game, and I love being around Kelly. She's always a really positive, kind person, and I appreciate that, Kelly.
Oh, thanks, darling. I mean, we've known each other. We'd be giving up our age if we tell it how long we've known each other. It has been about 32 years, actually. So, I mean, that's a long time. That's a long time. And, we've become closer and closer friends as the years have gone on, really. So, I mean, we've traveled around the world together. We've helped each other in our games, helped each other in life. And, I value our friendship immensely. And we'll grow old. We'll be like the Golden Girls.
That's absolutely right. We will always be friends, always.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I appreciate it very much. And competitors on the table, fierce competitors on the table.
Oh, yeah.
When we come off and that game's finished, it's all said and done, and a big hug and congratulate whoever won it. So it's a great balance, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
We'll call you the Golden Break Girls. How about that? That'd be
there you go.
That'd be kind of cool. I just want to pick up on something actually, Ali, you said there, because one of my questions that I wanted to ask you was, we're seeing a great resurgence now of the game of pool. I mean, there's so many tournaments again. There's big money becoming available again, and I was just wanted to ask you, was Kelly's recent success one of the things that sort of got you out of retirement and thought, hang on a minute, I can make a bit more money here. I feel good and I've got that hunger back.
Well, there's no doubt about that in some ways, because COVID obviously happened. And prior to that, we only on the WPBA maybe had two events a year. So there was nothing really to get hungry about. And so, more tournament, I felt like I was retired at that point. I really didn't miss traveling. I spent some really good quality time at home with my kids and family, and I really enjoyed that. That was really important for me. But then I saw Kelly playing and Predator getting involved in their Pro Series events. And, I was watching the virtual pool, but that wasn't really floating my boat because you're not really playing somebody. And so I thought I'll give it a go. And obviously during that time too, I feared coming back a bit when I was feeling retired, because I thought, I don't know if I still have what it takes. I feared not doing well. So I had a few things going on, and then I picked up the cue, went to that tournament that I just talked about, and we went down to, I think you beat me in the final 9-7, I think it was. And I scratched to get on the hill. And I played really good pool in that event, and I just felt that it's still there. Everything is still there. And, with what Kelly said after the event, it made me excited about the game. And then the other side of the coin is I've been playing and obviously doing quite well this last year and then at the beginning of this year. But it's fun. I'm actually enjoying it again. And that's really the key. Before, it became a little bit of a chore, for many, many years of playing. But I'm going into tournaments with a different perspective now. So I think that's made a big difference too.
Yeah, I think it's important. One thing you said there, you're enjoying it and you're having fun. And, when you're hungry to win all the time and you're upset when you lose and it puts more pressure on you, you really do look, I mean, of course, you still don't like losing, but you've got this air about you around the table, I think. And a reason in my mind why I think you've still got so much to do in this game is the fact that you've got, and you always have done, and I know Kelly admires this in you as well. I mean, you've just got the greatest fundamentals. You've got that thing that you can rely on and go back to, and it's a bit like riding a bike. Once you've got that in you, you know what to draw on, and you can, in pressure situations, you can always hold on to that, and that in a way gives you some confidence as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think obviously in my snooker career, I developed really good mechanics, and that came from a very young age, and worked hard at it. And I always look at that part of my career as my sort of apprenticeship, era, and then having the benefits of it when I came to play pool. And I've been over here for many years. So I think I've always relied on that, definitely. And then I think the next part of it just becomes the head game, where mentally you have to be tough. And so I think match fitness was something that I was lacking too. When you come in and play only a couple of events a year, you're not match fit. And I think Kelly's very strong mentally, confidence-wise, but mentally at the table, and gritty. And I think that comes from competing a lot too, not only personally within her, but also she kept competing right the way through COVID, and and she's very good and very disciplined like that. So for me, it was about getting match fit again. And Mark, I've spoken to you and Kelly, you've shared a lot about this too. There's been events in this last year that have really hurt me to the core when I've lost, because I know I should have won. And so the fact that I feel that means I still care. And I think if I didn't care, it would be easy to walk away. But the fact that it hurt me like really deeply meant I either keep going or I quit. And I'm still here. So I think the fact that I really care about the sport and love it, you know, I think it made me realise how much I do love it.
Yeah, and Kelly, I pick up something on what Ali just said as well. I mean, she mentioned your mental strength there, and you know, let's not forget that you've got some great fundamentals and technique as well. I mean, you know, you've got, I think it's 12 world snooker titles between you. I mean, you don't win um, big titles on a big table like that without doing a lot right. And Kelly, I mean, oh yes, I just thought of something. When I was doing some research, Ali, I didn't see any billiards world titles on your. Did you not play billiards?
No, I didn't.
So Kelly's got one up on you there, then, haven't you?
Yeah, she has got one up on me there. She definitely. I
Yeah.
remember players playing billiards, Kel. They used to play it alongside the. Didn't they used to play it alongside the snooker?
Yeah,
Like,
the World Championships, yeah.
yeah, like Karen Yu and Janet. What's her name? I've forgotten.
Yeah, and Emma Bonny, she was a good, decent player at that, and a few
Yeah.
others. There was only a handful of players in it. Let's not. Well, you know, you can add it to the resume, no problem.
Yeah, of course. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so, look, I'm talking about these snooker world titles, and then people often say, and there's big arguments, especially when Judd Trump went to try and play the pool when he went to the US Open, I think it was, and you always get people saying, "Oh yeah, you can't make the transition from snooker to pool." Well, one thing's for sure, you definitely can't make it from pool to snooker, but because that's never been done. But you ladies certainly have made that transition from snooker to pool, and there's not many people that do that. Without giving too much away, Kelly, I mean, what's the secret? I mean, we don't want too many of these snooker players coming and playing the game, do we? Because I think they could rule it if they put the time in.
Well, I think that, you know, like what Ali mentioned earlier, with the fundamentals from snooker that's required and the accuracy required, I do feel that gives you like, you know, one little step on the ladder when you come over to America, or even when you can play anywhere in the world, but when you change to 9-ball. Now, you know, the game of 9-ball, it's a totally different beast, if you like. I remember, and this is no disrespect because I clearly found out very quickly that I wasn't right, but I remember being a snooker player thinking, you know, that 9-ball was like a Mickey Mouse game. And I think a lot of snooker player mentality is that, because of the big pockets. How can you miss? How can you miss? You know, when you're pocketing balls into such small pockets. We're a bigger table, so you've got 12 foot as opposed to the 9 foot. And, you know, I remember feeling that it was just an easy game. And me and Val were in Greece on holiday, on vacation. And on the TV, there's Allison playing Karen in the final, and Kim Shaw were commentating. It was quite hilarious because obviously I know them all. And I'm watching, and I think Karen or Ali, one of them missed this easy. Here we go. Don't bring it up yet, Mark. Just let me finish. Easy 9-ball. Right? And yeah. And I'm like, I said to Val, I was eating a steak sandwich. I remember exactly, a steak baguette. And I looked at her, I said, how the hell can you miss that? Good God. I said, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to be a millionaire. We'll be a millionaires. I said, in 5 years or whatever. You know, I remember laughing about it, saying, how the hell could they miss that? But as we all know, I can say that after the last tournament, can't I? But no, as we all know, you know, there's so much more to the game. I had no clue that spin transfers to the object ball. I had no clue about anything. I just know how to pot balls, really. And, you know, there's so much to learn in 9-ball. There's not many safe places on the table. There's so many things that just you're not really aware of in snooker. Snooker is self-explanatory. Red color, you know, you've got 6 colors to choose from, you've got 15 reds, and off you go. 9-ball, especially 9-ball, 10-ball, you know, you've really got to get on the right side of every shot, and it goes on and on. So I found myself, you know, coming over, potting everything off the lampshades. And my first professional event was, who did I draw? I drew Alli in the first match, right? Do you remember that in Canada?
Yeah.
So I'm like, brilliant. I wanted to draw her. You know, I'm first pro event. I've qualified off the amateur tour. I know I can play a little bit, but I've no idea how to bank. I can't break for anything. Don't know how to jump properly. Anyway, so I've drew her and I have just potted everything off the table. I'm 8-0 up, 8-0 up, race to 9. And I miss a 1 ball. Probably, I remember it not being that difficult, but it was one. Well, what did she do? She tied me in knots, complete knots. And I lost 9. I lost 9-8. Can you believe that? I still
Wow.
yeah, true story. I still can't believe it, really. But yeah, it's true story. She just showed me that it weren't really about just potting balls, you know. So that was just one instance. And I went on to learn so much and still learning to this day. I mean, it's amazing how much you never stop learning. And I find it so intriguing and such a game that even coming in here every day practicing on my own, I try and find something that I can learn, something, you know, it's just never ending. Whereas with snooker, I found that, you know, I'm not saying I knew everything because I didn't, but it was just like, I don't know, it's different. It's a different mentality.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think for the transition part, once you accept that there's luck involved in 9 ball and you don't get too wound up, because that was tough to deal with. Snooker, there's less luck involved and you've more control, if you like. If you can accept that in 9 ball, and you can lose the match after potting most of the balls, and you can lose the match from scratching off the break, you know, and certain luck factors of 9 ball, 10 ball, if you can accept that, then and practice hard and learn the game, you can become a very good 9 ball player with the fundamentals of a snooker player for sure.
Yeah, very, very succinct answer there. I mean, I'd love to see somebody like Ronnie come when he's had enough of snooker to just I know the money won't be the thing, but I just think there's this thing inside Ronnie's head where he would just love to do it as well. And I'm sure if he gave it a year of learning the different strategies, and you know that you can leave yourself a ball down the rail when you're in the middle of the table and all this kind of stuff, if he could learn the strategy, I think he could really do some damage in the pool world. But is it worth him doing it?
Probably not. But if you remember, Drago actually did quite well, didn't he? Tony Drago, when he tried it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve Davis too. Davis too. He was. Remember when Ronnie come over to Las Vegas? Me, you, and him and Jimmy were practicing, and just a particular shot he was missing, and he was missing it far. And we told him about the spin transferring to the object ball, so just to aim a little different. And this is in the men's pro event, IPT, and he just told him once. That were it. He didn't miss it again, and he went on to the quarterfinals of the entire tournament, playing 8-ball on a American 8-ball. So it just shows you his ability. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We mentioned earlier about the state of the game now, and it really is in a good position. But how does it compare back to what you often hear people talk about, the heyday of pool when ESPN were televising it? How do you think it compares? Because you ladies were involved in it back in the heyday. Is there another one of them coming, do you think?
Should I go, Kelly?
You go, Ali.
All right. Well, back in the heyday, you had stars of the sport. Like you had people prior to me coming, even like you had Jeanette, Laurie John, Ava, Robin, Vivian. You know, people who stood out as like real stars. And what I'm liking seeing now is we're getting that again. It's starting to come through in the younger ranks, but also in the men's side of pool. You're getting. It's more athletic now, I think. There's a more seriousness to it. And I think you're getting more athletes coming through. And I really, really like the crowd of youngsters, the youth, the juniors playing. And I really like the crowd of like in the 20s from all over Europe and Asia. Just, it seems like a real good group that are going to represent pool from now. And so at one time it was a different, more entertainment pizzazz thing, I think. Still a good play, but now it seems to be more hardcore with all these different companies involved in the sport. And obviously it's become a world sport through what happened back then in the 90s, because it was televised and went worldwide. I think that encouraged all these youngsters to take up the sport, and it's become a great sport within it, you know, in its own right, and a world.
It's so social media friendly as well now, isn't it? It's so much easier for players to promote themselves. You look at Savannah Easton, just an example, right? There's lots of them out there. I'm just using her as an example.
Yeah.
Every day she's posting drills. Other players are posting drills, and I'm at this tournament today, and watch me live. She streams all her own games. It's so much easier. Can you imagine if we'd have had this back in our day?
It's easy, but it's also exciting too. Keeping up with people, seeing what's happening in their lives, watching the events. Kelly, what have you seen since you've come over?
Well, I mean, when I first come over to America, you know, it was certainly every event was televised. I did miss what I would say the heyday. I don't know. I remember the camel tour, you're talking about it. I didn't get to see or be part of that. And some of the big, like, wasn't there a gin
event? No, the camel tour was the men's tour, and then Gordon's gin and vodka. I just missed that one. I was a little late for that one.
Right. So I think there's been different, you know, big sponsors have come in and risen the, you know, the game, and then it's gone a little like that for sure. Since I come over to America, it did maintain a high standard as far as of the amount of events and of course the standard of play. And then, as we know, America crashed and we ended up in Asia. Now, whilst I'm very grateful and thankful for China and Asia picking the sport up, if you like, because the prize money, they did really well and they excelled it. You know, the prize money was shot through the roof compared to what it had been just in America prior to that. And, you know, they made stars of us out there, really. I monopolized on that, to be honest, and ended up with some good sponsorship. So it did me a lot of good. It was very difficult on us though, Ali, right? A lot of travel to Asia. It was really tough. And, you know, being in China, we're in various parts of China that weren't easy with the language barrier, the food, it just weren't easy. However, we made the most of it, didn't we, Ali? And we just carried on.
We did.
We did, and here we are still going. And what I'm loving though is after COVID, or should I say when COVID happened, I didn't think we'd survive as a sport, really. I thought we'd come back the odd event here, there, especially for women. Matchroom I knew would continue, so I was worried about the women's game. And you know, thanks to Matchroom, Predator, WPBA, and everybody else, many more sponsors out there, you know, they've come together and they've actually even shot it back up there again beyond where it was, even just with China. So I think when China comes back on board, I think we're going to see now with, you know, there's going to be a calendar that we're going to have to turn down events, which is a bit like the snooker the snooker men players are having to turn down events. There's just too many. And wouldn't that be a great position to be in, really?
Yeah, right. That's a perfect time, ladies. I'd just like to take a little break for some adverts and stuff like that, because someone's got to pay for this, you know. I do it all for free, you know that. No, the true meaning why I've got to stop this thing is because I'm too tight to pay for the premium Zoom.
I knew that.
I only get so long, so I've got to go off. We're going to come back with part 2. Is that all right?
Unbelievable. Bye.
See you soon, ladies.
Bye. Bye.